Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Tokyo Yo. My name is T. Here we are taking another look at another yo-yo from not one of the bigger companies. I'm really enjoying seeing all these yo-yos from these littler companies, these more independent companies that are putting out really special stuff for great prices. It has a lot of character personality. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Singwon yo-yos South Peak. So is this yo-yo going to take a tumble down the mountain, or does it have what it takes to reach the very top? So let's take a closer look at the Singwon Yoyos South Peak. So the shape is a very traditional V shape, I would say. I mean, fairly traditional. You've got a little cut here, then as you get closer to the rim, another cut. Then there's actually some smaller cuts right on the rim itself. So this is a very rim-weighted yo-yo, and it has a very nice feel because of these cuts. The cup is a smooth bowl, extremely smooth. It just goes right down from this rim, right down there. There's no dimple. It kind of looks like there is, but there is not. It is completely smooth. And then there is the South Peak logo here. This is the Kinabalu mountain peak, I believe, in Malaysia. Very interesting engraving here. Now, while I normally wouldn't be a big fan of this engraving, I actually really like where it is. So we'll get to that in a little bit. The material is 7075. So I believe 3 of these are glossy, and then there's a pink one that is blasted. So you can get the glossy or the blasted version. I'd really like to get my hands on the blasted version because I'm a big fan of this one. The feel is actually fantastic. This is, a V shape and doesn't really look like it'd be the most friendly in the hand. Very comfortable, and I think a lot of that has to do with the glossiness of this. It feels very soft and smooth and just has a great hand feel. And the look is striking. I mean, look at this thing. It's this beautiful green. Me and the person who owns Singwon talked about this online, how we love green yo-yos. And this is a very nice forest green as well. And the fact that it's glossy and it has this shining, shimmering look to it, it's gorgeous. I can't help but look at this thing all the time. This is a yo-yo I love to take out when I'm going places or when I want to show off my yo-yo skill to somebody, because it's just one of those yo-yos that's like super flashy and just catches people's eye right away. So as for the history of the South Peak 7075, I did get this from Singwon Yoyos. Now, he actually sent me a package of stuff. There's some prototypes and this South Peak and a Yo-Yo Jam Classic. And I have an unboxing of all that. So you can go check that out later if you like. Actually, he didn't want me to make a video at all. He just said, I'm sending you this stuff. You don't have to make a video if you don't want. So it was really nice of him to just send stuff just for me to take a look at. But, of course, I'm going to make videos because that's what I do. Like I always say, Tokyo is not a business. I'm not in this to make money. I don't make a profit. I never want to make money with this. It's not a business venture. This is just my hobby, my passion project, and I'm so glad I can share it with you guys. And it's nice when people think of me and decide to send me stuff to try out. Singwon is another one of these companies that's coming out of a place that's not America or Japan or China, which is where almost all the yo-yos are coming from these days. It comes from Malaysia. So that's really cool, because I've been getting yo-yos from Malaysia, yo-yos from India, yo-yos from Indonesia, and I gotta say, these are some of my favorite yo-yos that I've played in a very long time, because they've got so much personality, they've got so much character. I found that the ones that come from Malaysia or Indonesia also have like a very strong connection to where they're from. And if you look at this here, like I said, it's the South Peak. It's got the South Peak Kinabalu, I believe it's the Kinabalu mountain here, which is a mountain in Malaysia. It's just really cool. I love that has this kind of tie to where it's from, and it kind of gives it even more character and personality than just the yo-yo itself might give. So as for how the South Peak plays, it's a little bit heavy when you first throw it, but that goes away right away. I think because this thing plays with so much power. And I talked to Singwon Yoyos about this before. They definitely prefer yo-yos that feel stronger and definitely feel more powerful. And with that is going to come a little extra wind weight. It's going to make it feel a little bit heftier in play. But this is not a bad heavy at all. I've taken a look at some yo-yos recently that I've said were, hard to move or reluctant. And that's a heavy that's bad. You don't really want a heavy like that where you feel like you're forcing the yo-yo to move. This is one that just feels like when you first throw it, you're like, whoa, this thing has a lot more power than I expected. It throws so smooth because of the weight distribution. It holds its plane really well. It's really stable. And on every throw, I feel like this is so stable. It's one of those when you throw it out, it just feels like it goes exactly where you want it to be thrown. Like it doesn't wobble, and I don't know, even from your very first throw, you feel like it's just straight every time. Like there's a lot of assistance when you throw this thing. The weight distribution feels perfect. It feels really solid. I love the way it moves around. Like I said, from the very first throw, you're gonna feel that power. Once you get on the string, this thing is super fast. It's one of those that seems to really let you take its time. But then when you've got it kind of moving through a little bit denser motions, or you've got it going through some speedier transitions, it moves so well. Because of this glossiness, I feel it really helps with the way it feels in your hand. And trick manipulation feels really good just because this thing is such a pleasure to hold. And a lot of that comes from the glossiness. I just love the way it feels in the hand because of that. Besides moving so well on the string, it's just like a pleasure to move. I don't know what it is about it, because it has a really superb spin time, and because it does feel just so good to play with. I don't know, it's really hard to put down. As far as other tricks, grinding it's not really gonna do. If you kind of throw it out and you grind and you're kind of holding the string with one finger, you can kind of get some grinds, but if you're just throwing like a regular finger grind, it's just gonna run right off your finger because of that glossiness. Now the finger spins we have to talk about. The finger spins for this are fantastic. This bowl just seems so perfectly balanced to do finger spins. It really helps you out. But not in the way of like a dimple or anything like that, like it's a cheat. This feels like if you spent the time to get good at finger spins, this feels like it finally lets you take advantage of that soft finger technique, of catching it properly on the tip of your finger, of catching it at the right angle. It feels like finally, after all the practice I've done, this really feels like it lets me take advantage of my skill with finger spins without making me feel like I just got a cheat code yo-yo. It doesn't center really. It's gonna kind of go around the very center here, and that's kind of all you need. It's just gonna go around like that. And it actually spins for a really long time. I didn't think it would because of the glossiness, but it actually doesn't stick at all. If you've got any nail, it just finger spins forever. Now, one thing I did mention before was this engraving, which, normally would really bother me, but here I think it actually does a really good thing for this yo-yo. So not only do I think it looks pretty cool, and it's kind of simple, but I really like the font and I like that kind of outline of the mountain, but it actually really helps you with finger spins, because if you catch it at a bad angle or you're not holding your finger right, it's gonna go kind of crazy and your finger's gonna hit that engraving. And not only does that not feel very good, but it actually lets you know when you're not in the right area, when you're not holding it properly, when you're not doing your soft finger, when you're kind of like getting too stiff or too tense. So it actually helps you, because when it starts to go off plane and go a little crazy, you can feel it on your fingernail and you kind of can correct it, and it goes back to doing that. So I actually feel like this engraving really assists with play, if you can believe that. It's durable as well. I did ding this once. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see it. It's just around here. I was playing with my son at the park and it kind of swung out and hit something. To the credit of this yo-yo, besides it just having a little ding there, it's butter smooth still. So it's really durable, and that's 7075 for you. The response is fantastic. This has one of the best responses I've played with in forever. All these little companies, again, like the Lanthanum that I recently looked at, or the Capitals yo-yos that I've been looking at, they all have this really great response that has just seemed tuned perfectly to the yo-yo. And because of the 7075, it has a wonderful sound when you bind it. I'll try to put some video in here. I don't know, it's just fun to play with, and it's got a fantastic character, not only because of the engraving, but because the design is a little bit, I won't say out there, because it is a kind of a traditional shape, but because of the 7075, because of the weight distribution, because of the bowl shape, I feel like a lot of the stuff here, the glossiness as well, it kind of all comes together to make this really fun yo-yo that has a really fantastic character to it. I feel like I could actually play with this and actually, do some good demonstrations with this. It's not just a yo-yo for messing around, although it is good for that. I also feel like this is just a yo-yo that really is performance driven. And the fact that it has this great character and it's fun to play with at the same time, I think is a great achievement. And this thing is so butter. This is another one of those yo-yos that's just like, I can't believe these things are so smooth. It blows my mind that these little companies are able to put this stuff out at such a high quality. And the price of this one is a little bit higher. It's up around, I think, the $60 or $70 point, but still, it's smoother than $100, $120 bimetals I've played recently in the last month. It's way smoother than those, and those are bimetals that break the $100 point. So I gotta take my hat off to these companies, because they are just crushing it in the smoothness and quality department. So as far as pros, this thing is green, and I love that. I love green, it's my favorite color. I've got the pink zip line in here, so my two favorite colors going together. Gloss is nice. Normally I'm not a huge fan of glossy yo-yos. I think they look really amazing, but normally they don't grind, and that's something that bothers me. Again, this one has that same problem, but this gloss just looks so amazing, and especially in the bowl, the way it shines, and I just love the way it looks. The design of it, like I said, even though it is kind of a traditional V shape, the weight distribution, these little cuts in here help it not only with comfort, but they help it kind of stand out among the V-shaped crowd. it's comfortable because of the shape and because of the glossiness. I feel like it fits in the hand really, really well, and it's always nice on catches too. Durability is really nice on this thing. I love 7075 yo-yos. I love how durable they are because I'll be honest, most of the dings I do are not from actually playing yo-yo, but from like just walking around or dropping it accidentally. So I was really happy that this thing played so well still after I bonked it around a bit. The response is fantastic. Like I mentioned, this has great response. All the yo-yos that I've been getting from Indonesia, Malaysia have had fantastic response. The weight feels variable. I like that because of the weight distribution, it has a lot of power, but it also feels like it moves quick. It's not one of those yo-yos that's like, oh yeah, it's really comfortable, but it's not stable, or it's really performance driven, but it's not comfortable. Like the weight distribution feels so nice and so balanced that it feels like it gets the best of both worlds. The finger spins actually work. Someone actually mentioned this to me recently. I was saying on Instagram that I loved how this thing finger spin with the bowl, and someone said maybe it's just that you've gotten better at finger spins. But I actually feel like this has a better bowl than any bowl yo-yo I've played with. The Stealth has a bowl. I don't like the way that thing finger spins at all. The Horizon has a bowl. I don't like the way that thing finger spins at all, and I don't like that yo-yo at all, really. And this thing just feels like it got the bowl perfectly right. And like I said, I'd love to play the pink blasted one because I love blasted yo-yos. I like pink. So hopefully sometime I'll get a chance to try that out because I bet it does even better. And the engraving, I think it's really cool. It's simplistic. I think the font is really, really nice. I'm kind of a font person. I like when people actually think about using a proper font for stuff. And I like the mountain engraving too. It's just classy, it's understated. And like I said, it gets in the way just enough. It kind of lets you know when your finger spin's going crazy. I guess the only two things I would say for cons would be the price is a little bit high. I think it's around 60 or 70 USD if I'm not mistaken. Now I think it's totally worth that, but I think some people might be a little bit leery of trying it out because maybe they haven't heard of Singwon before, or they don't know what to expect from it, especially it's a 7075, it's kind of in a V shape. But I really recommend that you give it a try. You really should try it out, give them a chance because this thing is really awesome and I would hate for people to skip it because of the price. And I don't know, this is kind of a pro or con depending on how you feel. I'm just putting it in here because a lot of people don't like glossy yo-yos. So this does have the gloss to it, so it's going to make things like grinds not really work that well. Trade-off is it looks fantastic, it really, really shines. But you can also get this in a pink matte version. So if you're interested in getting this yo-yo but you don't like the gloss, then you've got options. Yeah, just overall, I absolutely love the South Peak. I have this thing in my bag every single day. Right now, in my bag, I've got the Haymaker X, the SF Bliss. That should kind of tell you how highly in my esteem this thing ranks with, like, I think some of the best bimetals of the last year or two. And this thing absolutely stands with those as a fun, everyday yo-yo that I just can't seem to put down. Thank you so much for watching, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave me a like, a comment, a subscription. I'd really appreciate it. Take care, have a nice day, and sayonara.